Graduation, just a couple days ago. You got a standing ovation from the entire senior class.
Everything was happening so fast I wasn't like completely processing it.
To me, I was looking at that and I'm like, they got the song. They responded to what you had created in this incredibly real moment.
Even as a student, it's been so exciting to watch the people that I've grown up with in this program grow and do things.
That's always like one of the main questions I get is, well, how do you know when a student's like it's almost comical to me.
Well,
I
like
don't.
half of a standard CMS.
Yeah, there isn't one. I've actually used you a couple times as a great example. So, Heather comes in as this classically trained pianist and wonderfully gifted at that, obviously, and then takes up the whole, Vocaloid thing, which is cool, and makes sense in a way because you like that orchestrating kind of concept. But then just for fun, at the summer of last year, I remember you sent me this message and I got a Chinese harp. It's called a guzheng. Can I bring it in? Yeah, of course you can. But the idea, that's predictable. That to me is the proudest thing. Is that I have no idea who's going to excel at what or what's going to happen. And then you guys, when you figure it out. The program really is pretty much funded almost entirely through grants. So you have to navigate that world of career and technical education. But every teacher has to deal with funding. I mean, that's kind of a universal that we all unfortunately have to deal with. And to be honest, I know a lot of people are dealing with things that are a lot more complicated and a lot more difficult than I am. So, you like everybody, you figure out a way to make it work. One of the biggest challenges that I have with this program is that people don't always understand. It's really hard for people to understand what this is until they're here.
Because you can come in here, you could just focus on learning an instrument. You can come in here, you could just focus on composing if you want it. You can come in here and you can focus on just the production elements or the technological elements. Or you could do a combination of all those things. I think because of the variety, it's not really possible to just kind of sum it all up.
Somebody described it to me as part of the problem is that it's scary. That the blessing and curse of the open creative platform is also the inherent responsibility that you then have to actually create something in some capacity.
So I came on the day of registration, you look at your classes and get your ID card. So I came in here, I see Maxwell wearing socks and sandals, so that was pretty interesting. But when I walked in the room, I see all these posters, and I completely think that there's no way that this is only one style of music. It's completely diverse, and there's so much inspiration to draw from it.
Which is the other problem that I've run into is, how do you merge all of those styles together in a way that everybody feels like they're valid and contributing? At some point, I finally wanted to try to be able to create a scenario where you could basically, as students, call your own shots. I'm not entirely convinced that this is really all me. I think it's more literally my own teachers kind of coming to the surface and just emulating elements from them in different ways.
When I saw all the posters, I was like, man, I don't even know a lot of these artists. One of the first thoughts I had was, I think my music teacher might be cooler than me and more hip and has more music than I do.
When I was 4 years old, I desperately wanted piano lessons, I thought. What it turned out was I wanted to experiment. I loved the idea of playing, I didn't even know what chords were really at the time, but just the idea of hearing those relationships and going, I like that one or I like this one, and then morphing them into other things. I have always found that to be far more fascinating. What could you make? With those symphonies that I loved at this school for so many years and enjoyed so much conducting, I was always curious, what could you do with a violin yourself?
We walk in, I see the stage and everything around me and I start crying. This is so overwhelming, but in such a good way. I was like, this is where I belong. This is my home. I've been wanting a place like this for years.